to today's show on August 10th, 2021. We got a beautiful day out here, so enjoy it while we can before the dreaded snow comes. But we're quite a ways away from that. Still got to go through fall, and then we got that, monster of white coming snow. But yesterday was definitely not the greatest show on earth, but that's okay because, hey, every day is a learning day. And, I can only grow from there. So, I've only been doing this for a little bit over a year. This is my second year. So, hey, like I said, we make those progressions, can't be perfect right away. That's what makes this show great. That's what makes it, doing this great, because every day is a learning curve and you just get better. Okay, anyways, we got some shit to get to, like the Ravens wide receiver room, Hunter Henry, the Colts rookie quarterback, Sam Ehlinger, and Hard Knocks. So let's get to it, huh? Are you ready to get your fix? Well, to get started, we're going to talk about the Ravens wide receiver room, okay? And unfortunately, it is just riddled with injuries. Some not so serious, some kind of serious. They're not 100% sure how this is all going to work out, but let's get started, okay? We got Marquise Hollywood Brown, okay? He is dealing with a hamstring injury. And it was reported not too long ago that when this came out. And really, it's worse than originally thought. Okay, at first they thought this was going to be a day-to-day, week-to-week situation. Just got to relax or rest it, and he's going to get back on the field. Not the case. Okay, he's missing practice or missing training camp, but it's not that big of a deal. Okay, this guy's a starter, obviously going to be their number one guy. With Sammy Watkins, Rashad Bateman, and then we'll get to those two later as well, or in a little bit. But this could be huge news. I say could because we've seen, multiple receivers in the league throughout the years, at least the last couple years. Once they have a hamstring injury, it's really tough to get back to 100%. Okay, especially when you're constantly on it, constantly running, making these quick cuts, running these routes. It's really tough to not tweak it again, and many of them end up doing so. Okay, once you pull a hamstring, it sucks. It's hard to come back from. We understand that. Okay, so just keep an eye or closer eye on Marquise Hollywood Brown with his hamstring injury. He obviously will probably be ready week one, but going from there, it's really unsure what to kind of expect going forward, because he could tweak it again, week one, week two, in the early weeks, and then all of a sudden he has to sit out, 3 to 4 weeks more to kind of rest it, and then he's back into it, then he could tweak it again, and it's just little things like that. Okay, they got to make sure he's 100% before they put him in there, and that's what they're going to do. Okay, the Ravens are just fine. They've been to the playoffs back-to-back years. Lamar Jackson right here is still under center. They're okay, all right? But other than Marquise Hollywood Brown with this having a hamstring injury, Sammy Watkins is also dealing with a slight hamstring tweak, okay? Not as bad as Marquise Hollywood Brown, but Sammy Watkins did tweak his hamstring, okay? Right now, it's just day-to-day, seeing how he feels and letting him go at it at practice and seeing kind of where that'll take him. Okay, he probably won't play much preseason, especially if he did tweak this hamstring. They're probably going to ease off it a little bit, knowing that he's going to be that number 2, number 3 guy on the roster. Okay, they're going to take their time. They're going to see, they're going to look at all options on the table and see which one is the best option and go from there. Okay, so we got Marquise Hollywood Brown, hamstring injury. Sammy Watkins, hamstring injury. They're not the only ones. Miles Boykin is also dealing with a hamstring injury as well. Okay, so that probably means with 3 hamstring injuries, the Ravens are really, really, I guess, they're putting in work. Okay, a lot of work. They're going out there making sure this is their year. Okay, Ravens back-to-back playoff appearances, back-to-back losses. They got to take that next step forward, and starting with these wide receivers, they're going to have to try to find a way to get open. The number one thing that we're all, kind of skeptical about or worried about is that Ravens passing game. They're known to be a running game, or a running team. Okay, Lamar Jackson runs all over the field. Yeah, he can pass the ball. He can pass the ball very well. Okay, but their main target is their tight ends. Okay, they'll get the ball to their wide receivers, but they like to use their tight ends, their running backs. Even Lamar Jackson likes to use himself, just running out there. Okay, they're a running team, a run team first, pass team second. They're trying to even it out, make sure they're both a pass and a run team, kind of hit the opposing defense with a little bit of this and a little bit of that. Okay, they're trying to figure something out so that they can take that next step into the playoffs and hopefully get a couple wins in the playoffs and hopefully actually make it to the playoffs again. Okay, but we're going to get to the main point of why I kind of brought the Ravens up today. With Marquise Hollywood Brown, Sammy Watkins, and Miles Boykin all dealing with hamstring injuries, now it has been reported this morning that rookie wide receiver, Rashad Bateman, suffered a soft tissue injury today at practice. It is a groin injury or groin soft tissue injury, whatever you want to say. But I guess the severity is not quite known yet. Okay, there's no structural damage, so that is very, very good news. Okay, that means he just probably has to rest, let it heal, and then get back on the football field. But this is huge. Okay, we talked about the Ravens being a running attack first offense, a run attack first offense. I don't know how to say that. It's whatever. But they're trying, like I said, they're looking to go into that passing attack a little bit more this year. They said they're going to use Lamar Jackson under center a little bit more. Don't necessarily think that's going to be the case. They'll probably use him under center a little bit more than usual to start the season and then go away from it. But with Rashad Bateman going out, okay, this guy, very athletic, very strong, knows, all the ins and outs of what it takes to be a wide receiver. Okay, he was a top receiver in college at Minnesota. This guy has the capability of getting things done and getting things done at a high level. Okay, this is huge. I doubt this is going to affect him that much, as he is listed as week to week, not day to day. So obviously, they're going to run tests, and they're still doing that today, probably more than likely. They're running tests, seeing what else needs to be done, how much rest he actually needs, and when the best possible outcome for him reaching the field would be. And I'd assume, obviously, with it being a soft tissue injury, he could miss the first couple weeks of preseason, probably make the last game of preseason in preseason week 3, and then be ready for regular season. But I'm not 100% sure on this. It was just reported that he did suffer an injury, which is unfortunate. It happens. It's football. Okay, this is what happens, especially in training camp. I guess like tempers are flying. You got. Everyone's nervous because they don't want to screw up. They want to make the team. They want to make that 53-man roster. So they're going to be doing things a little bit more than what they would normally do if they already know they made that 53-man roster. But, this is the typical type of injury, especially with wide receivers, having to make those cuts, okay? It's all in the groin, all in the hip and the hamstring injury. You're going to be pushing off that, okay? A lot of injuries at the wide receiver position are going to take place with your hamstring and your groin. It's just how it is. Okay, so don't necessarily think that this is a very, I guess, a big or a worrisome injury for Rashad Bateman. It is, but not necessarily for him to be not playing. Okay, he's going to play this season, whether that's week 1 in the regular season or week 3 of the preseason. It all depends on how or what the severity of that injury is, and kind of they'll go from there. They'll pick the doctor's brains a little bit, the coach's brains a little bit, see what that best option is for Rashad Bateman to get him back on to the field. Okay, so the Ravens wide receiver room is filled with a lot of injuries at this time. Is it worrisome? A little bit, okay, because all these injuries can come back later in the season, and if they don't come back, they're probably going to be lingering. Okay, some of these could be a lingering effect throughout the year. They could, perform or underperform throughout the season. Okay, these guys could miss the playoffs, especially with the Browns absolutely just building that roster up completely, to their liking. You got Baker Mayfield, Nick Chubb, Kareem Hunt, Odell Beckham Jr., Jarvis Landry, Myles Garrett, Jadeveon Clowney. The list just goes on and on. These guys are serious. These guys are a serious contender. You got the Pittsburgh Steelers, very, very good defense. I think they were either number 1 or number 2. Last year, either behind the Rams or in front of the Rams. But they got some tough opponents. Okay, I'm not going to talk about the Bengals. The Bengals are going to be the team that, for right now, I think are not going to be that solid, obviously. But they could shock some people. But the Ravens, they have a legitimate chance of missing the playoffs. Okay, and this wide receiver, or their wide receiver room with all these injuries, it puts a little damper on that. Okay, now they're going to have to pick it up. Okay, they still have, obviously, Devin Duvernay as a backup. They still have Tylan Wallace, who's a rookie, as a backup, or I think he's a rookie. But they got depth at wide receiver. And obviously, with it being preseason, we're going to see a lot of those backups play other than the starters, which would be, Hollywood Brown or Marquise Hollywood Brown, Sammy Watkins, and Rashad Bateman will probably be starting. But as of right now, I don't think you necessarily need to worry about it too much, but just, keep it in the back of your mind, especially when you're doing your fantasy drafts and stuff like that. Okay, hey, these guys are injured. They might play. They'll probably play a good majority of the season, especially Sammy Watkins. I think his is pretty much so. Here's Marquise Hollywood Brown's injury. Really, really worrisome. Here's Rashad Bateman kind of in the midst. Don't know the severity. But then you got Sammy Watkins. Okay, he just tweaked it. It's probably a day-to-day scenario. Okay, he's going to be fine. But this is huge. Okay, so we'll see kind of how these injuries affect the Ravens going forward. So now on to another injury around the NFL. I know there's a lot of injuries, but I'm just going to highlight a couple here and there when I think it's actually, something or a good piece of information for you guys to understand and listen to. But one injury, God, this chair is just not working well on this carpet, but that's okay. But we're going to talk about another injury, okay? The Patriots tight end, who they just signed this offseason, Hunter Henry, came over from Los Angeles Chargers. He suffered a shoulder injury at practice today. So, now as bad as it seems, or as bad as it sounds, this should not and won't affect his preparedness to start the regular season. He is on pace still to start the regular season. They do have a good tight end group. They still have Devin Asiasi. They still have Jonnu Smith. Okay, Hunter Henry's just right now dealing with this injury, seeing what kind of, happens week to week. Now, Bill Belichick called Henry, I guess, day to day, not week to week, day to day. They're going to take this and see how he feels every single day. Can you practice today? Are you able to run routes? Can you catch some balls? What is his limitations? Okay, they're going to figure that out, and they're going to work around that and see what the best option is, kind of like what we talked about with the Ravens. Okay, he is expected to miss weeks of training camp. Whether that's the first 2, whether that's the first 3, we don't know. But just know this, Hunter Henry is more than likely going to be the Patriots starter at tight end. Okay, he's going to be the number 1 guy. Then it's probably Jonnu and then Devin Asiasi. Okay, so what this means really is, Bill Belichick says he's day to day. But then they go on to say he could miss weeks, or he's expected to miss weeks of training camp. The reason for that, at least what I am led to believe, is because he's their starter. There's no reason for him to play preseason. Okay, no reason to re-aggravate that shoulder injury. No reason to do any of that. Keep him ready. Keep him, 100%, so that when regular season comes, he can hit it right on the mouth. He can get going on all cylinders. Pick up those stats and do really well throughout the year. Okay, this is not that big of an injury. It is, obviously, if you're a quarterback or something like this. For him, he's going out there catching balls. Yeah, if he gets tackled on the shoulder, it's probably, not going to be good. But if you let him rest these next couple weeks, these 3 weeks of preseason, it should be enough time to be 100% ready for regular season play. Okay, at least you'd expect it to be, that's what I'm kind of saying. But don't worry about this Hunter Henry injury, especially with you guys doing your fantasy football drafts. If you want him, if he's on the board, take him. Okay, just take him. He's going to have a really good year, especially with Cam Newton and Mac Jones back there battling out. I believe Cam's going to be the starter as of right now anyways. But Cam Newton, the Patriots only really have Nelson Aguilar at wide receiver, where they have 3 solid tight ends. Okay, they're going to use tight ends a lot. They're going to use their running backs a lot. It's going to be a lot of quick plays. This is what New England's going to have to do. If not, and if I'm wrong, hey, so be it. But I am a New England fan. I know exactly kind of their situation, what they like to do. They're all focused on defense first, and then we'll work on the offense later. They did have Tom Brady. Since Tom Brady left, it's been a whole different, scenario. Last year they worked a lot of, running what Cam used to run in Carolina. A lot of, wildcat form. Well, not really wildcat, but they utilized Cam in the run game more. He was forced a lot of things. They didn't have that great of a record. They finished 3rd in their division. But this is a different year, okay? They still have a really good offensive line. They still got Cam Newton in year 2 now. Now they, should have all the pieces of the puzzle really figured out. They know exactly what Cam wants to run, what Cam can't run, and stuff like that. Now they got all these new veterans coming in, like tight ends. Okay, wide receivers, giving them a little bit more firepower to really try to win more games this season. Okay, so with this Hunter Henry injury, yeah, it's kind of big news, being that he is going to be their starter. But don't worry, okay, if he doesn't start right away, they still got Jonnu Smith, they still got Devin Asiasi, they still got Nelson Aguilar at wide receiver, N'Keal Harry, who requested a trade at wide receiver. So they got people, they got depth. They're gonna be okay. Hunter Henry's gonna be just fine. He's going to come back right away in the regular season and be ready to hit it all right on the nose. Okay. So with that being said, let's move away from some injuries and let's talk about the Indianapolis Colts and their quarterback situation. So we all know already about Carson Wentz and how, it's a 5 to 12 week injury. They had the surgery. They're supposed to stay off, their feet. Apparently he was seen already at camp without a boot on. So was Quentin Nelson. They're just there, probably, just obviously, okay, just watching practice, seeing all the reps, seeing what's going, taking place and stuff like that, getting to know the playbook a little bit more. But for right now, with this Carson Wentz injury, the Colts need to figure out who their quarterback's going to be for the time being. Okay, so this whole, last week, Jacob Eason was taking the snaps. Okay, Jacob Eason taking those first string reps, getting familiar with the offense and how all these starters work and stuff like that. Well, I guess yesterday or today, the rookie that they drafted, Sam Ehlinger from Texas, was spotted taking reps with the first string lineup, okay, with the starters. This is huge, sort of. Okay, with Carson Wentz being out, you don't have really any choice besides your backups at the time. But other than going out for agency and finding a quarterback, other than going to trade for a quarterback, you don't really necessarily need to do that, especially if you think Carson's gonna be ready, week 1, week 2, best case scenario week 3, something like that. Okay, you're not gonna go out there and just say, you know what, hey Carson, thanks for signing with us, but fuck you, buddy. We're gonna bring in Nick Foles or something like that. It's just not gonna happen. Okay, so they're going to look at Jacob Eason, who's now a 2-year or 3-year person. And really, as of right now, Jacob Eason has been named the starter for Week 1 preseason this Sunday against the Carolina Panthers. Okay, but with Sam Ehlinger taking the first string reps, all they're really doing is seeing what they got, testing their options. If Carson Wentz, worst case scenario, isn't back till week 5 or on, like week 5 plus, who's going to be your guy? You want the best one there. So obviously you got to test them both out with the starters, seeing who does better in what situations, who's going to be that guy to step up and take the reins, being that Carson is not playing right now. That's why Sam took these reps. It's nothing big. Don't, go out there and blow it out of proportion. Like, oh, dude, Sam Ehlinger, he's a rookie, fourth or fifth round quarterback, looking to come out of the gates and just start slaying the ball, probably take Carson's job. No, hold the horse or hold the reins, okay? It's not going to happen. Carson Wentz is the starter. And until then, they're going to figure out who's the best 2 guy, who's the best guy, who's the best guy for next up, who's going to take those reps, okay, until Carson gets back. They're going to run them both. That's why Sam took these reps, okay? It's nothing huge, but it's something. Okay, Sam Ehlinger, we don't know much about. Okay, comes from Texas, a really good school. Transition to the NFL, we're not sure. Can he play at an NFL level or an NFL caliber? Okay, or yeah, I guess you get what I'm saying. They're unsure. They're gonna let him go in and take those reps. I believe Jacob Eason took a couple reps last year during games. So really, all this is just testing the waters, seeing, hey, does Sam have what it takes to play with our starters, with our starting lineup? Michael Pittman, T.Y. Hilton, Jonathan Taylor, Marlon Mack. Does he have the intangibles to go out there and perform at a high enough level? That's what they're really doing. Okay, but Sam was, spotted taking these reps. If he is the number 2 guy, which I believe is a very possible outcome, because Jacob Eason, obviously, we're not sold on. At least I'm not sold on being a starter in this league. But you're going to have to figure out who's that next guy up until Carson gets back. And right now it's looking as if, Jacob Eason's getting the start this week. Who knows? Maybe Sam gets to start next week. Okay, and they just kind of go back and forth. Who's going to be that guy? They don't know. They're just seeing, they're just testing the water. Okay, enough with that, let's get to the last bit of information, which is Hard Knocks. Now, if any of you have not heard of Hard Knocks or have not watched it before, basically, okay, it's a guy, goes out there, just kidding, it's not a guy, excuse me, it's NFL films, heading to training camp for one team. Sometimes, I think last year it was two, it was the Rams and the Chargers, because obviously they have SoFi Stadium together. But this year, what they're doing is NFL Films is going to cover the Dallas Cowboys and their training camp. And that's really the gist of it. Okay, you get to see the ins and outs, you get to see guys get cut, you get to see how practices are run, what goes into everyday, business operations there for the Cowboys. You're going to see this. You're going to, pretty much what they're going to do is they're going to go from week 1 of training camp, and then they're going to move on to the preseason 1, preseason 2, preseason 3, and then week 5, I think, is like their, send off or the final, like, this is how the season went type of thing. But it's a great watch, trust me, okay? It's really informative. You get to go out and see a lot of rookies that you'll never ever see again in the NFL. Really test their luck, see if they have plan B, see what, they got going for them. It's actually really, really interesting to watch, okay? Because you get to see, this part sucks, you get to see careers end, dreams end. But at the same time, a lot of those guys are given second opportunities, and a lot of those guys you might see later on in life or later on in football. Okay, they go on to do good things. But you also get to see, what do those first and second round people have to bring to the table? Okay, we get to see Michael Parsons. He was a rookie drafted from Penn State to the Cowboys, so he's going to be in there. You get to see CeeDee Lamb coming into his year 2, Dak Prescott's injury, Mike McCarthy coming into year 2, seeing how he brings this whole team together and stuff like that. Hard Knocks is fun. It's a good watch. Okay, I believe it's only like an hour. Each episode's about an hour long, but I think it goes week to week. So if you don't have anything going on tonight, go watch it. Okay, just test the waters a little bit. See what it's all about. I really like it. I enjoy it being a football guru that I am. It's fun. Okay, you just get to see really how an everyday life for an NFL athlete actually takes place. What are the ins and outs of this business? How do they go about cutting people? How do they go about deciding who starts in the preseason? How do they go about practice and stuff like that? It's a really fun watch. It's really interesting, informative. But yeah, that premieres tonight at 9 p.m. Central Time. Okay, so go, like I said, if you don't have anything going on, go out there, watch it. I promise you won't be disappointed, unless you don't like sports, unless you don't like football, unless you don't like the Cowboys. But regardless, okay, I've watched damn near all the Hard Knocks. I'm pretty close to all of them anyways. And they're all different teams. They're not, Minnesota Vikings have not been on there. New England Patriots have not been on there. Regardless of the team, it's it doesn't even matter really about the team. You just go out there and see, like, how do these guys run everyday operations. And that's really what it's about. Okay, Hard Knocks is going to be, well, Hard Knocks. Some people are going to get tough love. Some people are going to get bitched at and yelled at. Some people are going to get praised. And some people are going to be cocky and humble. And, it's just how it plays out. Okay, but it's going to be a good watch. Premieres tonight at 9 p.m. Central Time. So if you're not doing anything, please, like I said again, go watch it. You won't be disappointed. Okay? Well, that is all I got for you guys today as we continue to look forward to this weekend's slate of games starting on Thursday. Then we got games Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, being that it's preseason. There's no Monday yet. But yeah, we got a whole weekend of football just packed, ready to rumble. And I'm pumped, okay? We get to watch the Minnesota Vikings play, and it's going to be, awesome just to watch, especially with every single team taking place. Everybody's, favorite teams are going to be playing. A lot of you guys probably don't like preseason. It's boring. Yeah, I get it. It's boring, okay? But like I said before and in the past, it just gives you a chance to look at your rookies, look at who you got as your backups. Are they good backups? If, for instance, Minnesota Vikings, if Justin Jefferson goes down, who the fuck is up next? That's what you want to see. Do you want to see some, no-name third, fourth stringer come out of nowhere and you're like, who the hell is this guy? Or do you want to be like, oh, I watched him, in preseason. It'd be really good to see, him come up, get some reps, take some plays. And he might be a really good addition to this team. That's what preseason's about. Who has what it takes to play NFL football? All right? So it's going to be a fun weekend. We'll get to the games, or the slate of games later, and kind of what to expect and kind of, my opinions on it. But, hey, with that being said, just like I said, go watch the premiere of Hard Knocks tonight starring the Dallas Cowboys. Or, go do whatever else you guys have planned. It is a beautiful day. If you want to go outside, go grill, do whatever. Just relax, have a nice day. And, hey, we'll see you tomorrow. Okay? 6 p.m. Central Time, like always. And you just got your fix with the Wicks. And I appreciate you guys stopping by. Have a good one.